Hey guys, I'm Steve and this is Wilmer Woodworks. Today we are going to do another Lightburn tutorial. I'm going to go into further detail on the Boolean intersect. I know I have a quick tutorial, but I want to show you a real world example of when and how you could use that. Now what's really nice about this design is it's very simple. Once you get this first wreath, you can just layer and stack that as many times or as few times as you like to give you that little bit of depth. You see this is very thin. But with a little bit of string, this makes a really nice door hanger. And what's nice about this too is it has that autumn look, so you can put it out in October and have the welcome. And with some magnets, you could even change that out to Merry Christmas or Happy Thanksgiving, Happy Halloween, Happy New Year's. So you can really get a few months out of it. And it would make a nice option for a craft show. I'm actually going to bring this to my craft show that I've got coming up next month, and hopefully I can sell a few. I will offer both of these designs, the Merry Christmas and the Welcome and the Wreath, for free on my website, so you can download. If you do buy any of my designs, or if you download any of the free designs and your plan is to just share them with more than friends and family, if you do want to list them on Etsy for sale or on your own website, I just wish that you would put designs by Wilmer Woodworks found on YouTube or something like that that directs back to my YouTube channel. So with that said, let's head over to the computer and get to Canva so we can download these designs, and then we'll head over to Lightburn so we can do the layers and the Boolean intersection and all the welding and all the different layers. So I have every single layer set up to do a different thing. But we'll go over all that once we get into the software. Let's begin by going straight into Canva. We're going to hit Create New Design. We are going to just do, let's see what documents are. We just need a flyer, so 8.5 by 11 should work. Here we go. Okay, just like we've done before, we only want to take a graphic. We are not too concerned about designs or anything like that right now. We do want to keep something that's a little easier to work with. So we are going to type in Christmas wreath. And we do want only a graphic, we don't want a photo. So we're going to take a couple options here. So we'll take this one. And again, it does not matter if there's color variations or whatnot. We do want a complete circle though, so we don't want anything like that. I'll take this one. So Canva does not let you just add one graphic to download only. That's why it's always a good option or a good idea to take more than one. This way it does give you a few different options when you get into Lightburn. This one looks nice. And let's just see which ones I've already used. So the recently used ones here, you could just click See All, and it'll just show you every design that you've used so far. And I think this is the design that I used before, and I do like that one, but I just couldn't find it. That is a Pro design, so if you don't have the Pro account, you would have to use one of these other designs. So we're just going to call this Wreath, and we're going to download that. And again, I am a Pro member, so I can download these in an SVG, but if you're not downloading in a PNG, it would just work fine. Alright, so we will download that, and I will see you back in Lightburn. Okay, now that we're in Lightburn, we're going to import our wreath, and I also, when I was in Canva, I also grabbed some of the holiday signs, but we'll use that in a little bit. First, let's just take a look at the wreath. So these designs here just came through as images. I'm not caring for those. So I'm really left with two options for the wreath. Got this one that has the leaves and this one that's kind of free-forming. I'm not caring for the free-form, so we're going to just stick with the leaves for now. Okay, so this is what we'll be working on. Now we can leave it sized the way that it is. We will upsize this later, As of right now, I'm going to go through and just select this bow. So with this entire bow selected, I can move that around. Now how I selected that was I just held shift and I clicked on each object. And right now what I'm going to do is click on this center piece and I'm going to hold Control D. Now that's going to make a duplicate. And once I make that duplicate, I just want to see how many layers I have in this right now. So I'm going to choose 4 because 4 is not a layer that's being used. And that will be my cut layer for this. So with that, actually we'll just unshow that for right now. We'll select this entire image and do a weld. So this is welded for 26, and then 4 is going to be just my my engraving. So 26 will be my cut, and 4 will be my engraving. So this way it will engrave this entire piece, and then it will cut everything out. All right, so with that out of the way, oops, before we do anything else, let's group this together so it stays together. All right, so we'll move that out of the way. Now let's deal with the wreath. So the wreath is made up of a whole bunch of leaves with these inner stems and this circular structure here. Now I don't like how thin this structure is, so I'm just going to increase that. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to do an outward direction. And I'm going to do 019, just a little bit. See, now the dotted line is where we are, and that solid line is what is going to be created. I'm going to delete the original object and click OK. But to keep this balanced, I'm also going to do that same procedure on the inner, but I'm going to do an inward instead of an outward. And again, I'm going to delete the original. So there. So now that is a little bit heavier of a circle. And yeah, I like the way that that looks. So I'm going to take this entire piece, and I'm going to put this all in the same layer. And then I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate. And when you do duplicate something, it will automatically select it. So I'm just going to move that over. Now we have to weld all of these leaves to that circle. But we can't really just select everything and hit weld because it messes with the stems and it messes with the inner leaves. So we will have to do this individually. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and that's going to be my undo button. And now what I will do is I am going to go around the outside and select everything, and then just weld that to the inner center, or to the center circle. So while I do that, I'll do it once to show you. So you hit select, hold Shift, and click. So just the outers, and then when you hit weld, it does weld that. So I am going to hold Shift and go around this entire object and select only the outer leaves, and I will fast forward through that part. Okay, now with everything selected, I can just weld those together, and you can see that that's made one entire piece. Okay, so now with everything welded on the outside, it's time to address the inner leaves. So in order to take care of that, we were going to select the circle, select the leaf, and do a Boolean subtract. Shift, Boolean subtract. Now you can use a hotkey if you like. I try not to use hotkeys when I am demonstrating a new skill, just because it's better to learn where everything is in a few different ways, I have found at least. But if you like, you can always just hover over this, and it will tell you if you hit Alt and then the subtraction key, it will do the same thing. So to demonstrate, you would have to hold Shift, select the leaf, and then hit Alt, subtract. Shift, select, Alt, subtract. It's just a lot of keys to hit. So either any way that you feel comfortable, that is the way obviously that you should do this. So I will just speed this process up, and we'll be done in a moment. Okay, so essentially we have our outer cut layer and all of these little leaves, but we do have all the leaves on this one as well. So right now we just need to group these two together, and we can move this out of the way. All right, let's just see. Welded these together. There we go. Now they're welded together. Okay, so, and these are still individual, so let's just group these together for right now. And we'll select this, and we'll do a center align. Now right here, I'm just making sure that I did not move any of these leaves. Everything still seems to be exactly where they need to be. Okay, so this will be our cut layer. So for that, we will change that to layer 5. And I'll clean up these layers in a moment. It's just easier for me to take care of these when they are all separate. So we're going to ungroup these for right now. I'm just going to hit Shift, hold the inner and the outer. We're going to weld these two together. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make this little tail that we cut out over here, but it's just going to be an engraving. We don't want to cut it out. We want it to be etched. So in order to do that, you take the center circle and holding Control D, we're going to make a lot of duplicates. We're going to make a duplicate for every single one of these little leaves. Okay, so now with one of those duplicates selected, we'll select the leaf and we're going to do a Boolean intersection. Okay, Boolean intersection of two objects. And what that leaves us with is just this little tail, and that is going to be our engraved tail. So we're going to continue that process all the way around, and I will speed up this so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. I'll do it one more time to demonstrate. So you click on the circle first, then you click on the leaf, and then you do the Boolean intersection, and that just gives you that little tail. Alright, so I'll speed this up and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, with all those tails gone, we can delete any remaining circles, which there was just one. Now with everything still on the same layer, what I will go back and do now is just go back and select every of these little tails that I just made, just so I can put them on their own layer for a moment. And again, I will speed this up so you don't have to sit here and suffer through me selecting. Alright, with everything selected, I'm just going to change that layer to a different, all those selections to a different layer. I was selecting those while holding Shift. So now I'm going to hide all of those little veins, I guess, or those little plant pieces. And I am going to go up to Arrange, and I'm going to go to Break Apart. So now that these pieces, these objects are broken apart, I am going to go around and just select these inner frames. So with my selection tool, because I don't want to engrave these, I don't want to cut them, I just want these to be just this inner, not the outer. Okay, so I will speed this up as I go along, but just go through and select everything. You do not want the laser to engrave or cut. And just so you can see, if it didn't delete these, the line would be right here. It would be right where that circle is. Okay, now with all of those deleted, oop, I did miss one. Let me get this one here. All right, with all of those deleted, I'm going to select, and then I'm going to group those back together. I'm going to re-show this layer here. And actually, now that they're all done, what I can do is I can select all those and put those back on the same layer and then just group those together. So now if I hold Shift and select both of those, I could do a center align and just move this over here together. And now you can see, so the green is going to be a light engraved line and the yellow will be the cut line. And that is pretty much it. So now we have this image here along with this image here, and we can just save this and use this in any design we want. But we're making this door hanger, so we want to increase the size here. So this is 3.39. We want to make this 11.75. The boards I have are 12 by 12. You can make these any size you want, well, any size you can accommodate. But my current wood that I'm working with is 12 by 12. So we are just going to group this whole group together. And let's clean up these layers now. So what do I have? I've got This is going to be a cut layer. So I've got 5 is a cut and 3 is an engrave. So I always want to engrave first, because with my machine, once you engrave, once you cut, excuse me, it pretty much drops a little bit and it changes the angle of where everything is. So that's going to be the settings that I use. You can set this to whatever your machine is. And I like, with this new wood that I've got, to do 2 passes. So that is the cut for that. And then this is for the engraving on the bow. So 6045 is the engraving, and then the cut layer on the bow is going to be 250 millimeters per minute with 100% on 2 passes. So since everything is on its own layer, you can leave it all in one file and you can just turn off this output as needed. So if the output is turned off, it's not actually going to send to your laser. So now we need to make the inner rings. So for this design, I did 3 rings. So if you select everything, you just hit Control D, that gives you an exact duplicate. And if you scroll, or if you grab on a corner holding Control, you can resize that per the center. Now I just want enough where I can put a little dab of super glue, but it does create a decent effect. And also, if you'd like, you could mirror this so it changes the direction. This way you have some going this way and then some going that way. That's personal preference. I mean, you can do whatever you care for. So now with this selected, we are going to ungroup this. And the only reason we're ungrouping it is so we can put it on a new layer. So we're going to have, what do we have here? We have 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're just going to start counting up. So we're going to do 6 for the engraving. And then we're going to do 7 for the cut. Holding Shift, select, and we're just going to group that back together. And again, you change these to whatever settings your machine is. So again, Control D, hold Control, and resize down. Perfect. We're going to ungroup. So we just did 7 and 8, so now we're going to do, we did 6 and 7, so now we're going to do 8 and 9, holding Shift, select, group that back together. So these are our 3 rings and our bow. So now let's add Merry Christmas and Welcome. So the first one we're going to add is Welcome. So you just click on the text. We just are going to type this out, Welcome. We're going to choose a font we like. Well, we can just do a simple font, actually. Doesn't really matter. Let's do just Arial. Now you can do bold if you want. You can do all caps. It's all personal preference here. But when it comes to size, we want to make sure that it catches on this ring and on this ring in about the same place. So what we can do is we can select everything and we just tell it to go in the center. And if you don't like see, this kept the welcome where it was and it moved everything else. If you wanted this ring specifically to be here, you could right click and then you can lock that shape, and you see it has these little plus signs in the corners. Now whatever you do will always align with that one shape, so you see everything moved up and over. So we can't really just leave welcome here. We're going to do an offset. We're going to do an outward offset, and we're just going to keep bringing that number up until it looks decent. And we're going to turn this delete inner off because we want to leave the welcome there. So I would like it to be a little bit farther over here, so when we glue the magnet behind, it'll be good to go. So that looks good. So we were on 9, so let's do 10 and 11. So 11 is going to be our cut, and 10 is going to actually be our fill. So we can change this to fill. And if you double click, the one I like to use this crosshatch. And like I said, my settings would be 45% for fill. So now it's going to cut this out, and then it's going to fill the interior. And then you can put a magnet here and a magnet there. And then we also want to add the Santa Claus. So let me grab this palette here and zoom in. We're gonna get rid of this one and that one. We're gonna use this guy here. So it's the same procedure. So what we'll do first is we are going to put this all on layer 12, and we're going to group that guy together. So when we click on him and drag him around, he's just him. But it's getting a little messy here, so let us go back and we'll stop showing. We'll show that one. Where's 11? There's 11. All right, so now we're just looking at Merry Christmas, and let's center all of these guys. That is centered. Okay, and we're going to hit Control to keep him where he is, but just make him larger. Now this, we actually have to do another offset. So we're going to do an outward offset. We're going to keep bumping this up, and you can see where that line is going to go. So our welcome was right here. We just want to make sure those magnets line up in the same spot. So we'll click OK. And then we're going to go back and we're going to select this, and then we're going to choose 13. And then we'll also hit Shift and select, and we'll group this together. Okay, so 13 will be our cut, and then 12 will be our engrave. And then those magnets will have everything aligned. See that welcome is there. So if you put the magnet here, everything will work out well. It's a little bit different than the design that I made up originally, but it will do what you need it to do. And then if you'd like to, you can also add this bow right underneath. So I hope you guys like the design. If you have any questions, of course, you're always welcome to leave them in the comments below. I will make this design available for download for free off my website. You do just have to register for the website. And I will be offering some paid designs there. I'm not going crazy with the paid. I think I'm charging $1.66 just so after fees and everything, I clear $1. So I get $1 a design, and I'm going to try to keep doing these tutorials and doing these designs. So besides what I've been doing so far, if you have any suggestions or recommendations on any designs you'd like to see, just leave them in the comments below.